everyone, I'm Jodie Benveniste, psychologist, parenting author and the director of parentwellbeing.com, and I'm here for the third episode of the St John's Grammar Learning Early series. This is a series for parents of young children about to start the early learning years or even the school years. And last episode we talked about routines and rituals and the importance and benefit of those for kids. And this episode we're going to be talking about your role as a parent and how you can support your child and their learning. Today we have three very special guests. We have Daniel, who is a parent at the school. He has 3 children here at the school. We have Gay, who is the director of the Early Learning Centre. And we also have Frank, who is the principal of the junior school. Welcome everyone.
Thank you, Jodie.
So it can be a bit worrisome for parents when they're starting early learning or school, what they're supposed to do as a parent and how involved they should be and what they should contribute to school life. What's your view on parents' involvement in school life, Frank?
I think it's really important that parents be involved as much as possible.
Yep.
I think research does tell us that children benefit greatly from their parents being involved in the school and showing an interest in them. So
yeah.
we encourage it as much as possible.
And would you agree with that too in the Early Learning Centre, Gay?
Absolutely. It's the first time that the parents had the opportunity to develop that partnership between the school and the home, and that's great outcomes for the children.
So how does that work? Why is a partnership important?
Well, there's a lot of information and knowledge that the parents bring from their home and their family and their community. So if they share that with the school and with the Early Learning Centre especially, then we understand each other and we're on the same page.
Yeah. And have you found that true as a parent, from your experience, Daniel?
Absolutely, Jodie. I think it's great being able to understand, I guess, what your children are going through, not necessarily just in the classroom, but also talking to other parents and those support mechanisms inside of that environment to get a total understanding.
And I think it's changed, hasn't it? Because I remember when I was a child, I don't remember my parents being involved in school life. That's certainly something that's changed, would you say, Frank?
Yes, it has.
Yeah.
And I think just because of the complexity of schools these days, having parents supporting the school, supporting their children is crucial.
Mm. And so how can parents get involved in school life? How can that happen, Gay?
Well, it's wonderful, especially in the Early Learning Centre, for parents to come in that first part of the day, that they actually can come and see what's happening and be engaged in their children and help settle the children.
Yeah.
And then, of course, the hardest part is for them to go as well.
Yeah, so how does that work?
Well, I think once the parents have got that trust that their children are safe and secure and they've made some friendships or there's a staff member to help through that transition part, then they feel confident to be able to sort of leave their child in our care. They might still be sad because it's the first time they've left their child, but to be confident in the fact that they've been well looked after and they can go.
Because sometimes the parents can be a little bit more worried about how their child's going to cope, and the child is fine. That sometimes happens, doesn't it? Absolutely, yeah. So are there other ways that you've been involved as a parent in the school, Daniel, that you found has been really worked for you and your family?
Absolutely. Look, we've integrated a fair bit, like having play dates and so forth with the children. The kids get a good buzz out of it, but at the same time as well, it's a really good mechanism for parents to bounce off things off of each other and probably their experiences and probably not feel so isolated in their own environment.
Yeah, I think the connections between families is probably just as important as the connection between the family and the school. Would you agree with that?
Yes, I think that one of the strengths of St John's is the community feel about the place, and I think having that parental involvement just increases that.
Absolutely. I know when we started at the school, there was just this instant sense of community, and I think that that has really helped the kids and myself as parent as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I just wanted to talk a little bit more about that partnership idea and how that actually works practically. How do parents connect in with the school, and how can you build that rapport and those relationships?
Well, there's some great formal situations. Before children even start, there's interviews on arrival. There's interviews before they actually start their sessions. There's information nights provided so that parents can come along and see what we do and how best they can engage their children to feel part of the community. So they're sort of the really formal situations that are sort of before you even enter the school.
Yeah.
Which is great because those opportunities without children there usually are a good way to explain things on an adult level.
Yeah.
And then of course there's the opportunity for the child to come to their first transition and to experience that with their parent or when they come to school just with their peers, just to experience what it's like and have a trial.
Yeah.
Or, and then go home and talk about it with mum and dad and say, well, it went really well, or I don't know, what stories did you get when your children came home?
Oh, well, plenty of different stories over the years, absolutely, absolutely. And I think that's where that key is, like you were saying before, about having that both formal and informal approach with the parents and the teacher, just so you can not necessarily get caught up in the emotions of the teacher at the time. Obviously they've got a lot of their own work to do first thing in the morning to set the school up for the day. So just finding that right time which you can have a mutual conversation. Sometimes it may seem like it's a big challenge you're facing, but once you've actually spoken to the individual, you can understand the total picture. It's not as probably big.
And I think sorry, Frank.
Well, I was going to say that's really important. That trust and that relationship between parent and school is crucial.
Yeah, because you were talking about how the school values the children and the family and you as parents, and then the parents and the children trust the school and work together. So it is that mutual trust and respect.
It is.
Yeah.
And therefore, the communication needs to be a premium.
Yeah.
So that there's communication between both parties.
Yeah.
All three, if you include the children as well.
Yeah. And so, what are the sort of formal ways that communication can happen between parents and the school?
Well, we have our newsletters, our e-newsletters, Twitter and Facebook now, as well as having meetings that we organise for parents on an informal basis. Assemblies, we also have that for communication.
Yeah. And then there's the parent-teacher interviews
and so forth.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I guess what we've also found though over time that don't wait necessarily until those times come up.
Yeah.
I've always found that the teachers are very approachable.
Yeah.
It's just time right, you can obviously get some things clarified a little bit sooner rather than waiting for those formal nights.
Yeah.
And it's a great opportunity, sort of like if you've got a problem that you might need to clarify, to say to the teacher in the morning or email, I've got something I really need to talk to you, when's a great time?
Yeah.
So that you can come up with a mutually convenient time.
Yeah.
You can come from work or both mum and dad might like to be there, so that really helps as well.
And sometimes there is, big family change or there's things happening in the family that can impact on the kids, and would you say it's good to communicate that so the teachers are aware of what's happening?
Yeah, because a child's behaviour really changes, even if it's just a really small, for early learning children especially, but if it's a sleepless night or, the thunderstorm last night that they didn't cope with, those simple things just help us to understand what's going on with them for the day.
Yeah. And do you think there's a point where parents can be too involved in their children's school life?
Absolutely.
How is that? What does that look like?
Oh, look, I guess it looks like just you mentioned earlier about knowing when to leave the room. So you drop the children off, and absolutely sometimes they can be a little upset, a little emotional. I think sometimes we feel as if staying there is going to be that good security blanket for them.
Yeah.
A good example of that is just time to move on.
Yeah.
The teachers know what's going on, and they can obviously ratify or fix that situation up once you move on.
Yeah. And you've talked to Gay about how when a parent's confident and calm and their child picks up on that and that, then they make that transition.
Yeah, it makes it much easier for the child if they're feeling that if they don't sort of feel those vibes from their mum or dad or grandma, whoever it might be dropping them off that time. That if someone is really worried, the children just pick up on it. They can't help it, and then their behaviour, of course, reflects that.
Yeah.
So if parents are worried, and that's great, you've still got to be brave yourself.
Yes.
You can't expect your child to be brave if you're not.
Yes.
And then that's what the teachers are for. You come and say, look, I'm going to go. Could you please? Help engage so and so and something, and of course that's what we do.
Yeah. And then we talked about routines and rituals and the importance of those last episode. And I think, I suppose the other aspect of involvement is not necessarily feeling like you've got to do, being involved means doing everything for your children. Would you agree with that, Frank?
Absolutely. Teaching the children to take responsibility for their learning and their behaviour is really important. And sometimes it's a fine line. Where parents try to help a little bit too much, particularly with homework and things like that.
Yeah.
They shouldn't be afraid to let their children fail every now and then, because that's how they learn.
Yeah.
So it's an important part of their process of developing.
Excellent. Well, thank you, everyone. That was fantastic. So we've talked today about your role as a parent and how you can get involved in your child's school life. Research does show that when parents are involved and engaged, it does lead to better outcomes for kids, and schools really embrace you being involved in your child's school life and having that open communication and feeling like that you can go and speak to your teachers about your child or any concerns you have. And then I think the other thing we spoke about was the rapport and the relationships that you can build amongst the families, and you can really establish some lifelong friendships through your through these school years. So don't be afraid to get involved in social activities and play dates with your kids. So thank you for joining us in episode 3 of the St John's Grammar Learning Early series. So this is a series so that you can learn early about your child's schooling. Next episode, we're going to talk about the very fascinating, interesting topic of how your child learns. You're going to love that episode, so please join us for episode 4. Thank you.